Hi, my name is Bithal Bhardwaj, and I'm a CEO of a critical infrastructure cybersecurity focused company. I have been in the industry for past 25 years with specialization in cybersecurity for last 16 years now. And today we are focusing on securing the world. We as a company, we are in the business of protecting what cannot go wrong. So we're talking about securing the critical infrastructure like airports, power plant, power distribution. We're talking about maritime assets. We're talking about securing the assets or the companies which are primarily so important for any nation or for the public safety or for the national economy or national security as well, that things can't go wrong. So for us, the innovation is all about making sure that it should be able to pay itself as part of the outcomes. And number two, it has to make sure that it is able to increase the trust of whatever we are doing. Because primarily we are in the business of trust and resilience. We take a very brutal approach, if I may call it that way, when it comes to selecting a technology. Number one, technology has to reduce the risk in one form or other. That's very, very important. Second, I would say technology should be able to work seamlessly and cleanly in any brownfield project or environment. See, most of the world we live in, it's primarily there existing for a long time, which means when you're introducing a new tech in that space, it should be able to fit in seamlessly without disrupting anything. That's second. And third point for us from a technology adoption standpoint is the unit economics has to make sense for the environment. So if I repeat, number one, it has to work seamlessly in the existing environment. Number two, it has to reduce the risk to a certain degree. And number three, the unit economics, because we're in the business, has to make sense. It has definitely evolved with time. There was a time when a lot of us would be chasing the hypes in the market because the technology was very fast emerging. Today, we want to be the first to trust instead of first to adopt or first to market. That is a change which we have come down to. What that fundamentally means is the innovation we're talking about has to be grounded to the problem you're trying to solve. It cannot be just about adopting what is being marketed or being hyped out in the market today. So that's how we would take it. We look at reputation as the attack surface for any organization, right? Now, what that fundamentally means is that you need to be able to do, or you should be rather doing a lot of tabletop exercises so that how do you respond to a crisis? How do you respond to an incident becomes a muscle memory for the people who are engaged in taking care of the situations when things goes wrong. Being in the business of cyber crisis management, the muscle memory becomes very, very important. And at the core of that for us is essentially your cyber crisis simulation playbooks. It's also about the plans. So it's all about how well you are able to rehearse, do the drills with all the stakeholders so that it's all coordinated when things goes wrong, really. Two major one comes to my mind, and those were in the public, so I can share those. I won't be taking the name of those particular companies who were involved, but our customers and a lot of companies globally were impacted because of that. One was about a cybersecurity product itself, which caused a lot of disruption across major banks, airports, aviation companies across the globe because they had pushed out a bad update, and that had caused machines to fail, which had stopped the business processes. Fairly recently, I think on 19th of September, you must have heard about a lot of airports in Europe got impacted because of one faulty software again, right? In both the cases, all our customers who are in the very similar domains were not impacted, primarily because we were able to take a very, very quick decision. As I said, we you need to have a crisis management playbooks which are well rehearsed. In both the scenarios which happened last year and this year as well, we were able to assemble the right people together in the crisis management room. We were able to assume the roles. Now, what happens is when the crisis happens, the playbooks typically gets thrown out of the window because you have to deal with the situation. So, what's important at that point in time is that everybody assumes a role which has been designated and are playing by that. Because internal coordination, the communication cooperation with the internal and external stakeholders becomes extremely critical. So in both the cases are timely decisions to put certain security controls and restrictions prevented a major business disruption at a customer sense. It's a great question. Now, what's important is we are in the business of protecting the mission, right? We are not in the mission, or we are not in the business of protecting the hierarchies of an organization. And with the customers all over the place, our teams essentially, they are empowered. They operate by the standard operating procedures. They operate by the common standards so that the experience for the customer remains consistent no matter where you are. There is a degree of, I would say, empowerment at the team level who's on the ground, so that the customer centricity comes first. And it's not about making sure that you have to go through the hierarchies in the organization to take a certain call, which is so critical in the time-sensitive situations in cyber crises primarily. So common standards, well rehearsed, and local empowerment is the way to go for it. Well, geopolitical situation is driving the very fabric of cybersecurity business. Yeah, we're looking at the sanctions for the companies, for the countries. We're looking at the data sovereignty being impacted. We're talking about preferences for the supply chains as well. So geopolitics has a significant nuance to how a cybersecurity posture of a company is maintained and how we are serving our customers as well. How do you go about operating in such an environment, right? The way to go for that is you would always have a delivery model. So we particularly have a delivery model, which is, it is sovereign, where it makes sense. It's global, where we can go for it because there are local restrictions driving that delivery model. At the same time, there is a redundancy in the people, in the partners, and the platform which we use. And that is the only way to go about operating in this geopolitically sensitive environment, because cybersecurity threats have increased significantly, because that's an easy one for these countries or nation states to go after each other. I think one thing which we have, which has changed is that the disruption is now assumed that is going to happen, right? Now, what that means is, which means every contract which we have needs to have enough provisions to make sure that we are able to continue in case of disruption. Number two, I spoke about in the previous geopolitical case as well, saying we need to have a redundancy when it comes to people, when it comes to the partners, when it comes to the platform as well. What's more important is that we have a pre-negotiated arrangements to build that layer of redundancy across people, partners, and your platforms as well, because you don't know what you will have to employ at what point in time. So assume that disruption is going to happen and have the structure to deal with that for the continuity purposes. Well, AI is playing a very important role for us as an organization. It is powering our triaging capabilities. It is helping us in predicting the alerts. It is helping us detecting the anomalies as well. But the power remains with the teams. The accountability remains with the teams. We are using AI, but we made sure that in the level of engagement, in the level of decisioning, it is the human, our teams, who are taking care of it, and just not based on the machines. It's even more important because the sectors or the assets we're trying to protect, or which we protect today, you really cannot go wrong, because a small disruption or a wrong decision can lead to much bigger consequences, or rather unintended consequences. So while AI is playing a very important role in empowering us, augmenting our capabilities from an analytics standpoint, but the decisioning has to be with our people. That's what we are focused on from an AI standpoint. We have invested significantly in scaling. Now, while one school of thought is that there are plenty of resources available for everybody to learn, but we believe in hands-on, practical aspect of being ready for the future, right? And we understand no one training company or no one trainer can really help you. So what we foster is a collaboration with the industry. We have built two of these large industry collaboration centers. Some may call them as experience centers as well. This is where we host our industry partners. This is where we host our even competition as well. And we have these meaningful dialogues, because by increasing the awareness, by increasing the exposure of how different people perceive the risk and how it can be solved, is the only way for someone to get deep skill and be ready for the future. For example, we hosted one senior leader from the industry fairly recently, and unintentionally we started talking about the quantum computing, right? And that sparked the thought. And then the next 1 hour was discussing all about how do we prepare for the new world when the quantum computing will become a reality. So skilling from our standpoint is giving enough exposure to the team so that it can spark the right thought in them, and accordingly they will be ready to deal with the threats in the future. I call it as a mindless transformation. Okay, one tech company comes in and convinces some senior leader to go and adopt a fancy or a hyped technology, right? Without forcing them to look for the problem they're trying to solve or the outcome which they desire. So you're putting a solution before they've realized the problem, which is okay, right? Steve Jobs did the same thing when they came up with iPhone, right? Which is fine. But the mindless transformation is where the challenge is. Now we talk about these critical assets, that's where you see a lot of converged operational technology and information technology. Traditionally, these assets were air-gapped, right? Very limited access. There was a sense of a security primarily because of that. But because of this transformation, which is rightful thing to do, be it from an AI standpoint or, as I call it, you want to squeeze more juice out of your investments, right? So comes in connectivity. And with the connectivity comes in the cyber risks or threats, right? And that's where the challenge comes in. I'll give you an example of one of the sector problems which we are solving. We recently partnered with a Singapore-based shipping management company, right? And the idea is, how can we transform the cybersecurity posture of how that maritime sector is looking at the technology. Now, for a moment, if you think, maritime is roughly $30 trillion worth of trade. 90% of the world trade happens through the shipping lines. By some numbers, you have 100,000 vessels which are going around the world, making sure that they're making this life which we take for granted looks very, very normal. Now, so the problem statement we had with our partners there was, how do we go about transforming the cybersecurity posture of a vessel? Now, these vessels are essentially 200 feet long machines which are floating in the sea for 2 months or 3 months of voyage, right? With a crew of, say, 7 or 8 people, whose job is, with or without connectivity, making sure that this vessel should reach from point A to point B, on different parts of the earth, right? And with the connectivity today being so common, thanks to Starlink and other solutions out there, there is connectivity available on the vessel. And there are engine rooms, there are GPS and other navigation systems which are connected. So with the connectivity also comes the cyber threat, right? That was a problem statement. And when we went in, we saw that, again, a lot of OEMs were driving it with a point-in-time solutions. Yeah, or you buy my antivirus and your problem is solved. But cybersecurity is all about a holistic approach of end-to-end. You have to take care of your people, you have to take care of your technology, you have to take care of the processes as well. So we went in and we designed a solution for that. We call it Sea Falcon. And the Sea Falcon, we hope, will transform how cybersecurity is perceived in the maritime sector globally. We have been able to go about securing around 80 such vessels, which is a significant number. Now we're going after 1,000 more. So idea is, don't go for mindless transformation, right? You bring in the right experts and they will help you make sure that whatever you're transforming remains secure. Don't go by the OEM or the market hypes. Look at the holistic end-to-end security posture.